Hello, my name is Salvador. I'm here to talk to you about painting and how to get things done the proper way. Anyone can get some paint, throw it on anything, walk away and say that it's painting. However, the proper way of painting something is a lot more time consuming and takes a lot more steps. The only way to get a decent paint job is by one, taking your time by prepping the surface, taking your time when laying down the paint, and taking your time with the final touches. All these take a large amount of time, but not one is more important than the other. It also helps to have a paint booth or a dust-free environment. For the surface, you want to make sure to have a clean and smooth surface as possible. When painting it, you want to try and be like a machine and lay down uniform layers. And finally, you want to clear up all imperfections by either wet sand or buffing, then laying down a protective layer such as wax or polishing compound. The first thing when painting something, you want to analyze the surface. You want to keep in mind the final product you want to achieve is even all across yet slightly rough. The reason you want it slightly rough is because you need it to be rough enough for the primer to grab onto it, so it won't simply slide off if it's too smooth. After the surface is free from all imperfections, meaning dings and dents, or imperfections, after the surface is free of any imperfections such as dings and dents, or impurities such as dirt and grease, you're ready for paint. It's ready to go to paint. Putting down the paint is all about uniformity, so it doesn't matter whether you have a paint can, or a paint roller, or a paint gun. It's all about preference and what you feel you can do better. To lay down even coats, they must be overlapping each other just enough to keep a wet appearance. The first coat, you want it to be light, and you want to focus on the harder to reach areas such as the corners or the edges. It is better to spray multiple light coats versus a couple of heavy coats. This process is one you do not want to rush. Reason being is because if you do not take enough time in between coats for it to dry, you can go over an area and it'll still be wet and will cause it to drip. Some paint requires a clear coat or a protective coat. It's a glossy finish, or some of them already incorporated into the paint, such as single stage paint. No matter what, after the car is, or whatever your painting is done, you're going to have some imperfections. It's going to happen. Even a machine will have imperfections, so don't worry about it. But by wet sanding and buffing is your last chance to give your paint job redemption on your mistakes. First, you want to identify the location of imperfections, either with tape or something that you can see. You can identify orange peel, runs, or fisheye. Orange peel is like something that I painted here. I don't know if you can really see it. Just imagine the skin of an orange, how it has dimples and it's not smooth all across. And if you can see in the paint. So what you do is just wet sand that. Or if you get runs, meaning you concentrate too much paint in one area to cause drip marks. Or fisheye, either you have moisture in the air or moisture coming from the paint gun, whatever you sprayed out of, catch into the paint. So you're gonna wet sand those identified areas, starting off with a high grit such as 1500, working your way up to 1800 and 2000. Then from that point, you will buff it out with a rubbing compound, which is similar to toothpaste because it has a gritty feel, like a gritty cream. After you're done buffing it with rubbing compound, you're going to lay down the protective layer to protect what you just exposed. So you can either do with polish compound or wax, either one will work. But if you're aiming for a professional paint job, you have to take your time. You have to, each step, take your time with each one. All these steps are not hard. They just are very time consuming, especially when working with a larger surface. It is important to prepare the surface properly, lay down the paint as most uniform as possible, identify and try to clear all imperfections. Painting can either be a quick job or a very time-consuming job. Bottom line is, you get out what you put in. If you paint something following the steps and you aren't satisfied with the product, then go back over my steps and see which one you did wrong. Thank you for listening to my speech. Please feel free to ask any questions. I know I may have messed up here and there, but thank you. Bye.